Hey guys, we're going to be in John chapter 3, one familiar verse, one particularly familiar verse that we'll be talking about is John 3:16, but we're going to read some verses leading up to that, okay? And then kind of, try to do this in a few minutes. All right, if I've told you earthly things, this is John 3:12, if I've told you earthly things and you believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you heavenly things? I've told you earthly things, you don't believe any of that. So how in the world, if I'm going to tell you heavenly things, are you going to believe that either? But here you go. That's what Jesus said. Here you go. I'm about to tell you something. All right. No man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. Son of Man came down. All right. Jesus came down to this planet, and he also ascended to heaven. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up. I'm going to tell this story about from the Old Testament, where Israel had, disobeyed, had been, bitter, disobeyed, complaining, fussing, not living for him, sinning, all sorts of things. And God allowed serpents to bite them. And many of them died as a result of that. But they came crying out to Moses, and Moses cried out to God. God had him create a replica, if you will, of a snake, all right, made out of brass. All right. And it was to be placed on a stick. And if it were lifted up and the people looked upon it, they'd be saved from the biting of those snakes. Now listen to me. This is wonderful. Now listen to what it says. It says, and as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up. Even so must Jesus be lifted up. You said, Ryan, well, they're lifting up a serpent and then they're lifting up Jesus. Beautiful imagery. And here's why. The Bible says that Jesus became sin who knew no sin, that we might become his righteousness. So when it in effect happened, the representation of Jesus on that cross is that he became my sin. He became your sin. So he became the sin represented by serpent. He became sin who knew no sin so that it can be punished. He became that. That was his cup to carry. That was his cross to carry. It was not that wooden cross so much. It was. He certainly carried it. But it was the sin of the people he died for. And the fact that he would be crushed by the wrath of God on that cross. What an incredible thing that Jesus did for us. But he became sin who knew no sin that we might become his righteousness. And the Bible also says, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. Meaning I will draw the ones, listen, the ones that are going to believe are going to believe. They're going to come to me, and I'm going to pour out my spirit upon them. They're going to call upon me. They're going to be saved. I'm going to pour out my spirit upon them. Look at what verse 16 says now. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth him should not perish, but have everlasting life. He gets lifted up. He draws men unto them. Men and women, boys and girls who are being saved. He draws them unto him. The same imagery back from where the serpent was raised in the wilderness. Jesus became sin who knew no sin, that we might become his righteousness. Beautiful. Love you guys. Bye-bye.